Now, we're going to start with the Australian today, and pent-up demand in the nation's two largest states will drive an economic surge in the final months of the year as COVID-19 restrictions ease, with employers banking on a hiring spree ahead of a wave of spending from consumers freed from lockdown. The Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Philip Lowe on Tuesday forecast a bounce back in the economy and a strong jobs market over the next few months on the back of the relaxation of COVID-19 restrictions. This story will probably have Treasurer Josh Frydenberg jumping for joy in ISO, won't it, Claire?
Yes, it absolutely will. I think one of his favourite phrases during this pandemic has been a V-shaped recovery, which basically means that as much as everything's gone down, as soon as we open, it goes back up. And we obviously experienced that in July, the first time when the nation as a whole came out of that first lockdown. And the fact that the pundits are now saying that they expect the exact same factors, which is basically you've had millions of people locked up at home with nothing to do, nothing to spend their money on, that they'll want to rush out and spend that once they have the opportunity. And of course, it'll be Christmas as well, so that's always a busy spending time for most people anyway.
Absolutely, it'll dovetail quite nicely. One thing that also caught my eye on the front of the Oz Tomorrow is up the top in the near the masthead, Squid Pro Quo. Have you gotten into Squid Game, or is it just my household at this point in time?
The rest of my household has. My partner has finished the whole thing. I'm a bit squeamish, so I've kind of watched from a distance, but it's been quite the phenomenon. And yes, I thoroughly can appreciate why a lot of people are getting into it. It's not entirely my cup of tea, but very good television, I'm reliably informed.
I'm definitely with you there. I think the set design is absolutely magical, and the Koreans make TV like no other. And I love the way that the Oz Tomorrow are giving an explainer to their readers. I think it's going to be a wonderful talking point for sure. Also on the Australian, a story that isn't as happy, and it's something that they've been campaigning on for the past couple of days, even with Natasha Robson's piece late last week. We're full, says hospitals. They can take no more. The four largest hospitals in northern Queensland issued code yellow alarms on Tuesday, asking ambulances to divert as their beds neared capacity. It's a situation described by emergency doctors as unprecedented amid a funding row between Anastasia Palaszczuk and Scott Morrison on Tuesday. Hospitals in Townsville, Cairns, Mackay and Mount Isa sounded separate code yellow capacity alarms. This is just crazy, Claire, and I don't know what it's like for you in the ACT at this point in time, but we're hearing it numerous times that this has happened in Queensland. It happens here nearly every week in WA. Is this Scott Morrison's responsibility, or is it time for Palaszczuk to really put her arms down and get to work and fixing her own health system?
Well, unfortunately, when it comes to the funding of hospitals, it depends on who you listen to and who they think is responsible.
Yeah.
There is obviously funding agreements in place for hospitals. It's interesting, I used to live and work in Townsville, and I'm familiar with sort of the main tertiary hospital up there. It services a huge part of the state, and to think that it's at capacity is really troubling, because it's not just about Townsville, which is already the biggest city in Northern Australia. It's about all the regional and remote communities that rely on that service as well. So in terms of the solution, it's obvious that it needs a lot more investment. Palaszczuk is saying that that needs to be hand in glove with the federal government. Federal government saying that they've given all that they plan to. So I think the point at this point, it's really just that someone has to do something, because the healthcare of a lot of people in northern Queensland in particular is at stake.